During our baby's birth, my husband had an affair. Now the mistress is going after... My husband has this best friend, Anna. They have been friends for a long time and dated years ago, mutually deciding that it's best for them to remain friends. I've had no problem with this relationship until now. On the day that I gave birth, Anna's brother got into a car accident. My husband got a call from her in the middle of the night and asked him if he could drop her at the hospital her brother was at, an hour away from us, since she was scared to drive. My husband agreed, told me quickly while I was half asleep, and rushed out. A few hours later, I had contractions and called my husband. He didn't pick up after multiple tries, so I gave up and called my dad, who drove me to the local hospital, 12 minutes away. I was so scared of giving birth alone, since I've had about 3 miscarriages and 1 stillborn. My husband promised me that no matter what, he'd be there for me. Well, guess what? He wasn't. We called multiple times while I was in labor, and when he finally picked up my dad's call when I was giving birth, he said that he had misplaced his phone in the chaos. My dad informed him that no matter how fast he drives anymore, he's going to miss the birth of his child. Well, my husband took that as, well, he's already screwed up, so it doesn't matter when he shows up at this point. So when he finally came, our daughter was about 5 hours old, and I'd already been moved to the maternity ward. When he came, I refused to let him see our baby. I did let the husband hold and play with the baby after discharge, but I was so high on emotions and shaking when I saw him, I didn't want it to negatively affect my time with the baby. I wanted her birth to be a happy time, and I was already struggling to feed her. My husband was in a bad state and told me to please let him see her. So I told him to stand by the window and held the baby up so he could see her. I then told him to leave and he'll be allowed to interact with the baby at my father's home when we're both well and out of the hospital, and that I was most likely going to divorce him. He started bawling and apologizing and defended himself by saying that Anna's brother was in serious critical condition, and although he's fine, Anna needed him. Though Anna's parents were there, she's not that close with them, and she was in an unbearable state. I told him that I didn't care, and that his daughter has already come second to him, and all she's done is be born. I'm putting my daughter's and my health first, and won't let her be sidelined. However, Anna called me later and said that I was being controlling, and she'd never met someone as cruel as me for not letting a father see his baby. I told her that my husband made his decision, and that this was his doing, not mine. But now, I can't help but feel cruel in my actions and feel like I'm depriving my baby of both her parents being together. My husband sees her a few hours each day now. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I feel like this is useful information and could explain why I was so mad. Anna's brother was not in a life or death situation. He had serious injuries, but most were concentrated on his legs and arm. He did have a concussion but gained consciousness soon. Anna was there along with her parents who managed all the hospital stuff. My husband was there as emotional support for Anna. I did let my husband see our baby right after I got discharged. I wanted a couple of days of rest and bonding with the baby since my emotions were so high, and I was afraid if my husband was a continuous presence, I'd get stressed and something bad would happen. I told him as such. They spend time together, but I'm still cold with him. I may still be the a-hole, I don't know, but I'm still so mad at him, and it's not the first time he put Anna before me. I can forgive the other times since I could handle it, but this time was the final straw. I was so scared to hold my baby because I was paranoid the minute I touch her, something would happen to her, and no one was there to comfort me. I only had my dad, but he wasn't in the delivery room, which is why I'm not too keen on forgiving my husband. Also, we both knew the baby was due any time now, so I don't understand why my husband didn't have his phone on him. We even tried reaching out to Anna, and she didn't pick up either. After he learned I was giving birth, they already knew that Anna's brother was going to be alright. He spent that time making sure that Anna was okay and feeding her, and then waiting for the brother to regain consciousness. He could have come back after seeing his daughter to talk with the brother. He would have made it back in time. Edit. So many of you got it wrong. I'm not preventing him from ever seeing his baby. That is stupid and unreasonable. He literally saw her about a day later when we were discharged and safely at my dad's home. He already didn't see her for 5 hours on purpose and put Anna first. I didn't think an additional day would make such a difference. And it wasn't to him. He was so happy to see the baby, and he spends time with her all the time. She's 2 months now. And also, I'm not mad about the fact that he went to see Anna. I'm mad that he didn't think we were a high priority to rush back to. He left me so quickly in the middle of the night when I was already late. He couldn't have left Anna in the care of her parents and rushed as soon as possible? She's not a child, and she doesn't have any mental health issues either. Edit 3. Sorry for all the edits, but someone just messaged me this. What if my baby was born a stillborn again? He had no way to know since he and I didn't have any contact after I gave birth. Thank the stars my baby is healthy and well, but it was a possibility. Update. Thank you everyone for your replies. I think I was an a-hole for using my child against him and should have told him that he can hold the child, and then I would have asked him to leave. So, the divorce is probably going to happen. My brother is looking at lawyers for me. In the midst of this whole mess, this post has made me realize I never checked on Anna's brother to see how he's healing because I was so irked by Anna. I called him and he said that he was doing well and will be out of his wheelchair soon. He asked about me and the baby and how I was doing with the split and if I was okay with my husband and Anna. I can't believe I was so oblivious. I thought they had an emotional thing going on because of this, and when I confronted my husband, he denied it and said me and our baby were his priority, and he made a mistake and he was being dumb. Yeah, no. Anna's brother kindly informed me that he and Anna's parents thought that my husband and I split up when I was 7 months pregnant and that Anna and him were back on. He showed up at the hospital as Anna's boyfriend, which is why they didn't bat an eye that he was there and not with his pregnant wife, because apparently we split. Her brother's procedures were done well before the afternoon, so I don't know what my husband and Anna were doing for all those hours, but I don't even want to know. If you want more details, I can answer in a comment. Thank you everyone for your kind words and advice. I will be moving back home and filing for full custody. I don't want my baby growing up to be like her father or Anna. He can be the fun dad or whatever it is he wants to be. So we've gotten a few stories like this where the man or the woman has a friend of the opposite sex and it's a little too close. They're a little too clingy and then you end up getting a Reddit post like this. I think we all kind of suspected it at the start. We've seen enough of these, but man, during birth, what was he thinking? He made a mistake. Bro, you made 85 mistakes all in one go. And let's be honest, he's probably made a few more. Oh yeah, he did. He said, he had everyone believed that him and the OP split. What a joke. What a terrible father and husband. I hope an anvil drops on his head like in a cartoon. Next story. Story number 2. I broke up with my fiance because of his family. I don't think I can marry him because of his family. I know people will say that I am crazy, but my guts tell me I am right. This was supposed to be the first time I am meeting his parents. He has 2 sisters, a mom, and a dad. I was excited to meet my future in-laws, but it shattered. A few days ago, I met his family. Some things about them just didn't sit right with me. His mom is very passionate about him. Like the first thing she said when she saw me was, "So, you are the lady that keeps my son busy." I know it sounds like a joke, but she said it in a condescending tone. Throughout the entire gathering, she was trying to avoid me. She would get irritated whenever I got closer to my fiance. She made one very mean comment when I asked her for a piece of pie she made. She said I will not be able to fit in my dress if I eat any more of it. She deliberately made me sit far away from him so that she could sit beside him. I knew she didn't like me, but I tolerated that. But she was way too harsh on her oldest daughter. She keeps making comments like, when are you getting married? And if she still can't get over Ben, her brother-in-law. The thing is, Mia, the oldest daughter, used to date Ben until he dumped her to be with the youngest sister, Jen. Jen isn't very nice either. She was mean to Mia and kept bugging her to get a husband. Mia is 33. I don't think she needs to rush. Jen also didn't like me because she made some snide remarks about my upbringing. I grew up in an abusive household. I had to struggle a lot, whereas my fiance came from a well-off family. His dad didn't speak much. He didn't say anything and just nodded. The only normal person there was Mia because she just kept to herself. But nonetheless, I did not feel very welcomed by them. I just had this gut feeling that if I get married, this will be my whole life. I would always have to be in competition with his mother. But he is so nice and sweet. I never felt so in love with anyone like I did with him. He brings me flowers. He takes care of me. He treats me like a queen. But I do not like his family at all. So I broke it off with him. He was understandably sad. He asked for a reason. I just told him I didn't feel good about our relationship, that we are not compatible. There were tears, but I left. Now I'm sitting in my aunt's house writing this. One moment I feel like calling him and telling him I had cold feet. We are perfect together. We earn well, we have similar hobbies, and we are sexually compatible. But this one thing about him just bugs me a lot. I am heartbroken. I know I don't deserve to be because I was the one who called it off. Update 1. I just talked to his sister Mia on the phone. It was a surprise to me that she wanted to talk. She got the news of us breaking up and asked if we could talk on the phone. I agreed. I was desperate to hear any news from him. We talked for like an hour or so. It was mostly her telling me how her family was toxic, that I made the right decision because her mom has a weird obsession with her baby boy. And also, she doesn't know why she is the black sheep of her family. She was not adopted, nor was she an affair child. She also mentioned her mother was a bit of a racist because of where I came from. Overall, during that day, she said she wanted to warn me. I asked why my ex doesn't treat her right. She said my ex is in a delusion that they have a picture-perfect home, but he doesn't realize how toxic his mother is. She did bring it up with him, and he just said that they are family. So, families shouldn't hold grudges. Honestly, I feel bad for her. She also said that she will be going no contact with her family. She thought she could salvage their relationship and let them be a part of her life, but she decided she doesn't want that. She also shared some personal information about her relationship status and future, but I don't want to share that. It's not my place to share it. But she told me to meet him and tell him the truth. He deserves to know why I don't want to be a part of his family. He needs to hear the truth. I will be meeting him tomorrow. And yeah, as a lot of you guys requested, I will give an update. Update 2. I tried to make an update, but it got removed for those who may be concerned. But anyway, hello guys, I promised I will be back with an update, and I did it. I finally talked to him. I told him everything that I mentioned in the post, and also about my feelings for his family, especially how they all treated Mia. Needless to say, he was upset. He tried to convince me this is all in my head, that I shouldn't throw away our relationship because of his family. His family will accept me if I become a part of it. I tried to explain things from my own perspective, but he wasn't budging. Then, the topic of Mia came up. He said it is unfair that even his sister is abandoning the family. He mentioned Mia's big news, and she said she doesn't want to be a part of their family. I told him I knew about it because I talked to Mia. That seemed to upset him even more. He is pissed that Mia shared her news to me before his family. I got angry and told him this is exactly why I do not want to be a part of his family. His mother has made racist comments to me. I'm half Bengali. His mother treated me like an outsider and didn't make me feel welcome. His family is very toxic. I grew up in a toxic family. I don't want to die in one. Maybe someday he will find a woman his mother approves of. But that woman is not me. We had a big fight. He was obviously defending his family. He was not willing to listen to what I had to say. Overall, he was very dismissive. We ended our conversation on a very bad note. I am sad about it. Aside from his family drama, he was a good guy. But I don't think I can handle his family. Because you just don't marry one person, you marry their entire family. They didn't even bother to know me at all. So, that's the update. Ah yes, the classic mama's boy and overbearing mother, a story we've all seen multiple times throughout our own personal lives, I'm sure. And this is like the toxic, more less interesting, slightly more racist version of Dominic Toretto and his family. So, yeah, this is unfortunate. I'm glad, very glad for OP that she grew up in such an abusive household and actually recognized this and didn't fall back into that trap or allowed herself to be like, well, maybe it won't be that bad. She's like, no, I'm going with my gut with this, and I guarantee you her gut was right about this. But what do you guys think? Next story. Story number 3. Am I the a-hole for telling my 28M girlfriend 25F that she went too far in messing with her sister? My girlfriend is low contact with her parents and older sister. She has a difficult relationship with them. She felt bullied by her sister, Cora, 31F, growing up. Her mother was frequently ill and depressed, and her father traveled for work months at a time. They were kind of poor, so Cora did multiple jobs since her teens and was controlling and domineering with her siblings about chores and schoolwork. My girlfriend has a lot of resentment about her unpleasant childhood and is pushed back by sabotaging things for Cora in silly and petty ways. Cora got married to her boyfriend of 3 years about 6 months ago. My girlfriend flew over to attend but did act bratty to mess with Cora. It was mostly minor stuff, like not confirming travel plans till last minute, so Cora was forced to pay more for plane tickets, changing her mind about her dress frequently, so Cora had to buy and return outfits multiple times. There were a few other things too, like messing with some organized plans and refusing to do things she committed to. I don't really like it or understand it, but she feels it's important for such payback to bring a balance to her relationship with her sister. Where I feel like she went too far is the night before the wedding. She had a long talk with the groom about how difficult and short-tempered Cora can be. He has a kid, 6M, from his previous marriage, and she knew they were planning on having more kids right after they got married. She told him that Cora hates little children and will bully them. So, the newlyweds ended up having a lot of fights over their honeymoon because the groom wanted to postpone having kids and change how much involvement Cora would have with her stepkid. Cora found out recently that the conflicts are because her sister had this talk with her husband, and she's been blowing up at my girlfriend. She feels upset at my girlfriend's interference because she wanted to have kids soon, and my girlfriend feels justified because she's convinced Cora would be an awful mother. I told her that it wasn't right for her to meddle in her sister's marriage just to mess with her, but she feels that nothing she said is untrue, so she was morally right to do so. We have been having arguments about this, and my girlfriend is now mad at me. Update: I've been asked this multiple times. So Cora is the oldest. Their parents had separated after she was born, then got back together a few years later and had 3 more kids, one after another. My girlfriend is the second oldest. The youngest two are close to both my girlfriend and Cora, and ignore the conflict between the two. Cora did different short-term jobs for extra money because she got her full-time job. She did 2+ jobs at the same time. Here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, "So, by being forced to parent her siblings as a teen and being tough about homework and chores, girlfriend feels justified in sabotaging your sister? It sounds more ungrateful than anything. Your girlfriend needs some serious anger management and general therapy. None of this is healthy or acceptable." OP said, "I haven't been able to present a full picture of my girlfriend's childhood in a few lines in this post, but it was awful. She grew up under the power of a sibling who was frequently angry and abrasive. She yelled at her siblings a lot and fought with their parents all the time. She did provide for them, but my girlfriend feels that she used the money to excuse her shortcomings. My girlfriend says she's been through therapy before and it has helped her a lot. I agree she's not dealing with her sister in the most healthy manner, and she may need to go no contact with her altogether, and that might be better. She is not like this in her other relationships." User 2 then commented, "So she told him that Cora hates little children? Is this right or wrong?" Then OP said, "I don't know Cora personally, so I can't say. My girlfriend claims this based on her childhood experiences with her sister." Update: My girlfriend, Sia, and I had a lot of arguments about her behavior. She got angry and broke up with me. I am still stuck with her for a bit because we share an apartment with 2 other roommates, and my lease ends in a few weeks. Sia and her siblings have been arguing a lot about this, and here's what I gathered from what I've been told and from overhearing the daily drama. Sia has been doing this since they were little kids. Whenever she feels Cora is being too bossy and demanding, she'll sabotage her by messing up things. Cora has no idea. She thinks Sia is clumsy or forgetful and just works harder to fix things. She doesn't realize that Sia does it on purpose. Their younger siblings know, but ignore it. Sia has talked about Cora behind her back a few times in the past, that she has anger problems and is mean. According to Sia, everyone knows she's short-tempered and yells a lot, but people like her because she helps them and is a fixer. I heard Cora tell her that she knows Sia talks about her like this and has accepted that, but still didn't think that she'd do it at her wedding. What Cora is really shocked about, though, is that Sia called her a bad mother and that she hates kids. Cora sees herself as a good mother figure and did not see this coming from her sister. All the siblings rely on Cora as the parental figure instead of their actual parents. So, Cora has helped her siblings with school, college, and just about every facet of learning to adult things. Her siblings still call her first for help with anything. Even Sia does that. A couple of months ago, she totaled her car and panicked and called Cora first. Cora walked her through everything and helped her deal with insurance. Sia is still adamant that she did the right thing. When she talked to her brother-in-law, he was surprised to hear that Cora was short-tempered or that she yells. He hadn't seen that side of her. Sia thinks that her telling him means now he won't be shocked when he sees the real her, and they'll be in a stronger marriage. Cora and her husband have since fixed their issues and are doing well together again. Sia feels like her actions have actually helped Cora, and so she has nothing to complain about. I think it's more likely that the brother-in-law witnessed these sibling arguments and realized how things are. Cora hosts Thanksgiving for the entire family and also organizes a family vacation every year. In her arguments, she angrily told Sia not to come to these events this year. She doesn't want her there. Sia complained to their mom, and mom berated Cora for trying to break the family. Cora then blew up and is not going to do Thanksgiving at all. That offended a lot of people, and everyone is giving her a hard time for overreacting. Sia is sure that she'll get over it and host again. Me, I'll be moving out soon and probably won't have any more insights into this family drama. Red flag alert, good grief. We had a story recently about a guy and his love language was doing pranks, and it turns out it was just a manifestation of deeper trauma and terrible behavior. And it seems like this is the same thing. If you like doing little acts of sabotage and being maniacal from time to time, yeah, it's not cute. It's probably underlying stuff that will eventually blow up and affect everyone around that person. And it seems like it happened to OP, it happened to Cora, and maybe she was a terrible person in childhood, but also, Sia is a terrible person. Like, what she's doing is also not okay. That's not how you handle things properly as an adult. That is how a child behaves, and I feel like her inner wounded child is still present and taking the driver's seat from time to time when it comes to her relationship with her sister. But what do you guys think about this dynamic? This has been a fun video. I had lunch today. That's about it. My husband posted my body online. Last Friday, I, 34F, spent my evening with Kate, a young friend, 24F, from work, as she wanted to discuss something personal with me. I didn't think anything of it, as we do have a very personal relationship outside of work as well. As soon as I arrived to her place, the tension in the air was thick. She explained that she wanted to discuss a serious matter with me, but she didn't know how to go about it. I told her to just rip the band-aid off and tell me. She told me that she found 2 recordings of a woman she believed to be me on an adult website. I told her that wouldn't be possible, but she was adamant that I was the woman in the recording, and she was right. I've never recorded myself naked or sleeping with my husband, but there I was, 2 recordings of 7 minutes and 4 minutes, both of them recorded in our old bedroom. As I rewatched every second of it, it starts to dawn on me that this was my husband's doing. But I pushed that deep down because there must be a reasonable explanation for this. Honestly, I left her place with my mind in a complete meltdown. I could barely hear what she was saying, but she did follow up with a text saying that she's been in contact with the website about getting it taken down and that she will help me get through this. She also said that she's scouring the internet in case there are more of it out there. I came home and pretty much ransacked my house looking for evidence, and I found it. My husband was using a hidden spy camera to spy on me and record me in my most intimate moments. I then just spent hours vomiting and crying, projectile vomiting some more, and begging to God to just let this be a nightmare. I am a deeply religious and fully veiled Muslim woman, and I've never been with anyone but my husband, and all this time he has been sharing my most intimate moments with the world. I don't know what to think or what to do. I can't look at him or speak to him. I've locked myself in our bedroom pretending I have COVID. All I do is look up how other people have dealt with getting things removed, and it seems like once it's on the internet, it really is forever, even if I remove it from this one website. I've been crying nonstop. He truly must be something demonic, as he is right now talking about ordering in some of my favorites to see if I have an appetite since I haven't been eating well. I am so unbelievably hurt. I don't know how to share this with my family, how to ask for help. I am crippled with shame, anger, and pain. I'd also like to go on and answer some questions that I've seen in the comments. 1. My husband, soon to be ex-husband, and I are the same religion, race, ethnicity, and nationality. 2. My culture does not participate in honor killings, and I'm not afraid of my family harming me or not siding with me. 3. My family would support me in divorcing him. In fact, they would demand I do. 4. The laws in my country are secular, but in certain circumstances, it allows for the various religious groups in the country to hold their own courts that can enforce their rulings, as long as it doesn't impose or break secular law or civil liberties. 5. I do plan on taking this to secular court and religious court, as I want him punished. 6. I am veiled by choice, and the vast majority of my fellow countrywomen do not veil. 7. I am niqabi, meaning the only part of me visible to the public are my eyes. When I am with my family, or with women, or in women-only spaces, I don't veil. And number 8, finally, Kate and I do not share the same religion, nor dress alike, and yet we are friends. Update. I left him as I said I would. He went to work, the movers arrived, we packed my stuff, and we left. The entire time I was crying to the point that even the movers were worried for me, but I couldn't stop myself from crying. I went home, sat my parents and siblings down, and explained the situation. My parents were and still are confused. They are elderly and fragile. They don't understand the internet. They just kept saying, okay, let's talk to the people and it will be gone. But my siblings understand. They are angry. They are sad and heartbroken on my behalf. My siblings and brother-in-laws took me home. We waited for my husband and, well, we had a conversation with him. He denied it at first. So my brothers were firm with him and he started to be more truthful. He said he did it because he was depressed, because he had an adult film addiction, sex addiction, and because he didn't think anyone would see it. He said he only posted a few. When we asked him to be specific, he said he posted anything from 5 to 8. We had him take it down, but who knows how many times it has been downloaded or shared. In that moment, I also found out that he had a secret phone. He was also cheating on me with random women and sex workers. All this time, I was thinking he's working hard, but nope, he was out disgracing himself and betraying our marriage. At some point, he convinced us he needed to use the bathroom, and he somehow managed to call his mother. We arrived at our home with his brother and cousins. There was a commotion as they were angry at the treatment of their family member. Then, things calmed down enough to explain to them what he had done. His mother fainted. His mother is elderly and is not in the greatest health condition. We called for an ambulance. My neighbor had also called the police, and I was arrested by the time the ambulance arrived to take care of my mother-in-law. I spent the evening locked up. I didn't exactly have a polite conversation with him. So yes, I was arrested for assaulting him, specifically slapping him, and he refused to press charges. I got released the next morning and went home to my parents. Cried some more because my parents kept crying. Then a few days later, I spoke to some lawyers my sister had contacted as they had experience with non-consensual material being posted online. They have been handling things with the police as I did press charges, and they are dealing with the websites. I have also started the process of divorce. I went to the clinic and got tested, and luckily he didn't give me anything so far, but I have another test scheduled to just make sure. I've spoken to his mother, and she apologized to me, even though it's not her fault. She told me that she understood why I wanted him punished. She asked that I let it stay in the hands of the law, rather than I hurt him or have him hurt. He's in hiding now, but he still calls and texts me from random numbers. He still lies and tries to manipulate me. I've just been documenting everything he says and texts to me. And at this point, everyone knows. I mean everyone, even the little kids, and I feel more humiliated now than I did at first. Update 2. This man has destroyed everything I have worked for and has completely destroyed the very little sense of stability and safety I had left. I had to resign from my job, a job that I loved. Jobs don't come easy for me with the way that I look. I can't work there anymore because I am a potential danger to the children and staff, since perverted men have started to harass me at work. I work with vulnerable children and mothers who have heard about me, who have started to refuse me working with their children. Some don't want me to be involved with their child because their husbands can't stop being weird. Fathers have leered at me or made lewd comments toward me, and one of them even offered me money to sleep with him. Men have catcalled me with greater frequency than ever before. Men stare at me. A man followed me from my dentist's office and groped me on the street. Random men call my phone, my family home, and office to verbally abuse me because my husband has posted my address, my personal work and work email, phone numbers, workplace address, and every other bit of information online. It is as if the eyes and judgment of the entire world is on me. Yes, the great majority of people are sympathetic, kind, and in support of me. Many people have reached out in support of me, from old classmates to former colleagues, neighbors, members of my religious community, family friends, his family, and many more have expressed solidarity and kindness. But the crazies and perverts who believe him and are like him are bolder, louder, and much more noticeable. Then I found out from my lawyers and their investigators that he was drugging me and assaulting me as I slept. I suffer from migraines and insomnia and take medication for it. He saw my medication as an opportunity to drug me with my own prescriptions. He shared, practically bragging on a forum where other perverts congratulate each other on how he was so clever for drugging me with my own medication, and they were encouraging him to do more things to me. My soon-to-be ex-husband has also decided to spread rumors that I was aware of the cameras and pressured him into posting online, and there are people who believe him. He also changed his mind about not pressing charges. I went to court. The judge and prosecutors were sympathetic and dismissed the case. It was a combination of my lawyers explaining the circumstances that led to me slapping him and his subsequent actions, threatening me, attacking me, doxing me, and blackmailing me by saying he didn't care about the slap and that he would drop everything if I forgave him. My lawyers used his own words against him since he wrote it in text, and on a recorded call, he admitted to me to not having slapped him that hard and that he only pressed charges to cause me harm. But his crimes against me are still being investigated by the prosecutors. Okay, wow, this story is depressing. We got another story like this recently. I don't know if it's up now or not, but it was essentially the same thing of a husband did a really bad, awful thing to OP, who is the wife and the woman in the relationship, and then OP decides to expose the terrible thing the ex-husband did, and then she suffers for it. He gets revenge, and then he comes out on top essentially so. It is horrible to see this, that she said, hey, my husband did a really bad thing, and now she's getting essentially punished. Not legally, but she can't go to her job. She has to leave her job. Men are assaulting her. She's been blackmailed, doxxed, and other things. This is horrible. There's another update, so maybe, does it get better? I hope. Fingers crossed. I don't know. Fingers crossed for this lady. Let's continue. Update. It all boils down to jealousy and me emasculating him. I wish I could say I was feeling better or doing better, but I feel awful and I am still struggling with everything. It is still his life's mission to be as cruel as he can be and to stand in the way of every step I make. He is still refusing to work with my divorce lawyer. He continues to be difficult every step of the way and has run off his own lawyers. He is now on his third lawyer, and we are again starting from scratch in the divorce negotiations. He has been granted an extension by the courts due to his last lawyer just dropping him a few days before our hearing. As for posting non-consensual material, a trail date was scheduled and he recently asked for an extension, and he'll probably be granted it as his criminal lawyer dropped him too. So, in the last month, he has been dropped by his divorce lawyer and his criminal lawyer. The man is on a roll. When it rains, it sure pours. My father passed a little over a month ago, and my mother is now in hospice care, and she is soon to go back to God. I'm sad, but not shocked about this, as I've had a long time to prepare for it. My father had been battling cancer for almost 3 years, and as so was as prepared as a person can be, and my mother's health had been declining significantly for years due to her dementia. My soon-to-be ex-husband decided it was a great idea to corner me at the venue we held the after-funeral meal at. He decided to wait for me to be alone. He approached me as I was cleaning up the venue. I was on my own at the time. I was kind of exhausted and could not muster up the rage to chase him off as I had done many times before. So I just let him talk. He seemed almost decent as he was giving his millionth excuse on why things were the way they were. He cried about how awful he feels for hurting me. Then he started telling me about how he always felt I was better than him in everything, as I made more money, was better educated, had been better traveled than him, and that he felt jealous of my confidence, and how in the beginning these were things things that he was most attracted to, but as our relationship and marriage progressed, these were things that he started to dislike about me. He also said that he was angry that I refused to consider being a stay-at-home wife and mother, even though he knew from the beginning that I wasn't the stay-at-home housemaker type. He said that he tried to be a good husband, but that my refusal to bend or let him have the last say in things with this. He said he tried to be a good husband, but that my refusal to bend or let him have the last say in things was the catalyst for his anger and need to humiliate me. He talked about how he always had addiction issues, but he thought that if he was married, he would be cured of his depression, his adult film addiction, and his sex addiction, and he felt like if I ever found out, I would have never married him, and I would have maybe divorced him. And that angered him and pushed him to want to punish me for thinking I was better than him. He was jealous and angry about so many things. But when I said to him, "So you hurt me because you felt jealous and inadequate in my comparison?" he lost his mind and started to shout and say that he knew I would react that way. I decided to refrain from commenting further and just let him spill his guts uninterrupted. For 3 hours, he made excuse after excuse for why he did what he did. But it all comes down to him feeling inferior to me, him being jealous and angry that I dared have a mind and life of my own. He said right before our wedding, he joined a men's group online that were helping him deal with his addictions. And one tip given was to make your own adult films and watch that instead. But he knew I'd never agree to it. So it was my fault he needed to spy on me, and that he never intended to share it with others, but one day I had angered him so much, and as payback, he posted it, and he felt good. And so, every time I emasculated him by having my own mind or upset him in some way or another, he would post more. Eventually, he gained a following and had so many men asking him to post more, he started to like the fact that other men looked up to his prowess. And at the same time, his addiction started to come back, and he fell back into his habit of picking up women, and when he couldn't get it for free, he hired an escort. Then I guess it spiraled out of control for him. The more he spent on his addictions, the more lies he told me. The more he felt like a failure for me covering our expenses. The more he resented me, and he got stuck in a cycle of self-destruction, which in turn only fueled his anger with me. He also says he joined a support group for addicts and started going to an addiction rehabilitation clinic as an outpatient to deal with his issues, and that I should give him credit for that. He feels that I should be proud of him for doing that and that I should take him back since he's putting in so much work. He also feels I should appreciate him not stalking me since my dad died, and he is sincere in feeling this way. He genuinely doesn't understand why I'm not seeing how hard he's been trying the past few months. He is deluded in his mind and thinks that his honesty in our conversation should count for something, that I am just being a heartless B-word for having been stoic and unmoved by his tears and his show of vulnerability. Even though he gave a great performance of being human during our conversation, I remained unmoved because there was nothing to be moved about. I just continued to pack things up from the venue and got in my car and went home. I'm still not working, I still have crazy men calling my phone at all hours of the day, and I still feel humiliated and embarrassed. The only good thing that has happened is that several of the websites have taken down the recordings and banned him from using their platforms. Final update. Curses are like young chickens. They always come home to roost. Finally, I have some good news. So, a while back, I was granted a restraining order/protective order, and now my finally ex-husband did continue to stalk and harass me. After the umpteenth time of calling the police and going to court, he was finally imprisoned and has been in prison for a little over a month. I was also granted my divorce. I initially wanted a quick divorce and wanted to just give him everything he asked for, but he kept finding ways to delay or ask for more and more, and I just snapped. So I told my lawyers to do their worst, and they did. My lawyers hated him, and I got everything I wanted and way more. Not to gloat, but it was really satisfying seeing him cry. This has been the most peaceful month I've had in a long time. This entire time has been such a trying time, and it has affected my mental and physical health. I've lost 12 kilograms and I've lost a ton of hair due to the stress he was causing me. But I can honestly say that him wailing in court was the chicken soup my soul needed. I've moved from my city now and live on the other side of the country, and I've gotten myself a decent enough job. I am slowly mending my confidence. I am in therapy and I can't say it's working right now, but I know if I stick with it, it will. The non-consensual material he posted has been removed from the more reputable websites he posted on, and my lawyers were able to get me monetarily compensated as these companies didn't want to go to court over it. I mean, money doesn't really change things that much, and I am still hurt, but it's something. I'm also not so delusional as to think that it isn't out there in some way or another, and I know there really isn't much I could ever do about that. So I'm just trying to make peace with it. My ex-husband will be serving time in prison for what he did. My lawyers are working with the courts, and that should be sorted soon enough. I think the reality of the consequences are becoming very clear to him, as I have heard through the grapevine that he attempted to take his own life, and is now in protective custody until his trial date. He is facing up to 30 years and corporal punishment, and I absolutely look forward to it. Well, it seems like OP came out on top. The ex-husband is facing punishment for his crimes, 30 years, and the corporal punishment, which I'm kind of surprised to hear. But also, good. She exposed, a horrible person. He did a horrible, non-consensual thing, uploaded her to the internet, and violated her in all ways, and especially religiously as well. And, yeah, now he's going to jail. I can't feel sympathetic for this guy. It's unfortunate he tried to take his own life, but you know what? He ruined OP's life, right? Like, he took everything away from her, and then her father died. He didn't do anything with the father, and now her mother's dying, and she lost her job, and she got groped, and weird phone calls, and her address, and doxxed, and blackmailed. It's a horrible thing. It's so horrible, so I'm glad that justice was served. And you know what else I'm serving? Pancakes and waffles. You get to pick. Pancakes or waffles? Which one do you want? I don't have any French toast, though, so please don't ask for it. I have plenty of syrup and chocolate, if chocolate's your thing. Well, guys, this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye!